This lesson is sometimes a little bit difficult for some kids. Just watch it and pay attention. Do this the way that I'm telling you to do it, because one of the mistakes is people try to skip the writing down of things, which is typical, and then get mixed up when to do what step. So if you will do this the way I'm telling you to do it, it will help, okay? So for this, you're going to be given a mathematical sentence. What is 25% of 50? And some of these you can probably just do in your head. Some of them you're going to need to write some things down. And the reason I want you to write things down is because sometimes you multiply, sometimes you divide, sometimes you need to move a decimal, sometimes you don't. And if you will write down the steps, it'll help you remember where you are and know what you're doing. Now, two words. We've always had these keywords in math, like sum means addition. Product means multiplication. There's two words you may already know that is in mathematics means equals. Of in mathematics means multiplication. So what we have to do is we have to convert this English sentence into a mathematical sentence. So anytime that we see what number, what percent, what fraction, that's going to become our x. So what is going to be our x? Is in mathematics means equals 25%. Of means multiplication. Actually, I'll use parentheses and not a dot, otherwise we'll get confused. Of 50. Now, some of you could have just done this in your head, but I want you to see mathematically what we're doing. So what is 25% of 50? If you have a calculator with a percentage key, you can just type this in. For me, it's easier because I have to do some weird things on my calculator to get there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to convert my percent to a decimal. 25% as a decimal is 0.25 times 50. And because I have a calculator, 0.25 times 50 is 12.5. And it is okay to have a decimal on these, all right? So the first thing you need to do is convert your sentence to a mathematical equation. On this second one, it says 40 is what percent of 125? So 40 is means equals what percent, x percent, of means times 125. And now I just have to solve for x. Here we multiplied, right? Because that's what the equation looked like, 25% of 50. Here I'm not going to multiply because I have to get my x by itself, so I'm going to actually move this 125 over. When I move a multiplication over, it becomes division. Now in this case, I have been telling you over and over not to convert, not to give me a decimal. For these, you need a decimal. Okay, normally we do not, but for these we need a decimal. And I wrote this wrong. This is not times. It is divided by, because it was multiplication on the right side. When I move it over, it becomes division. 40 divided by 125 is 0.32 equals x percent. Now here's the thing, I'm not technically finished here because of this, which means I need to convert 0.32 to a percent because the answer needs to be in a percent. And if you remember from your last lesson, to convert a decimal to a percent, we move it to the right two places. So in this case, the answer is 32%. This one we leave as a decimal because it's not asking for the percent, it just says what is. This one says what percent. If it were to ask you what fraction, you would leave your answer in a fraction form. If it were to ask you what decimal, you leave it in a decimal form. Okay, so convert it to a mathematical equation and then just solve for x. Pay attention to what it's asking for to make sure your answer is in that form. Let's do it. All right, let's do a couple more. So we're going to convert this from a sentence to a math problem. What is going to be my x? Is means equals 15%. I'm going to convert that to a decimal because I can't really work with a percent. Of means multiply 60. So this one's straightforward. I just do 15% or 0.15 times 60. And in this case, it's just 9. I love when we work problems and get simple answers. The second one, set up my equation. 30 is 40%, I'm going to convert it to a decimal, 0.4 of what number? Of x. Okay? Because it says what number, I can leave it in the form that I get. Because I have a decimal here, my answer will probably be in a decimal form. So to get x by itself, I move this 0.4 over. When I move that over, I have to divide by 0.4 because I'm multiplying it here. So 30 divided by 0.4 is 75. All right, set up your equation and then solve it, and it's as simple as that. You guys have an online homework assignment just like before. It should be linked here. Let me know if you have any questions.